In order to understand what Ozma is, we have to understand what Ozma represents. So on the main title screen, if you wait a little bit, it'll actually bring up one of two full motion videos, something that they started off with in Final Fantasy VII. It'll either bring up one that involves the world map, or one that involves the characters. I'm looking for the one with the characters. There we go. And there's one in particular that we need to focus on, which is for Freya Crescent. So, I believe it does show up. It might be on the other one, but it will show up. But each of them does have their own little line. I believe that is stated in the game, but I don't recall if all of them are. And they are tied to their character backgrounds. So, it's not something that they made up on the spot. Oh, okay, it's on the other one. We'll have to jump to it. But that's the first half of them. Come on. Might take a little bit, but Freya Crescent has her own that I want to include in this little thing today, which is the most important one involving Ozma, the super boss. There we go. She'll be right after this one. Despair. To be forgotten is worse than death. Yes. Memory. Now, I did try seeing if I had a save file. I apparently don't. Whatever. Either way, yeah, I'll be using images from this point on for the rest of the video. And from there, we take a look at the numerous times in the game where the idea of memory gets brought up, beginning with a meeting towards the beginning between Freya Crescent and Zidane Tribal. And it's actually in a bar in the game where she asks him, "Do you remember me?" And at least for the player, this is their first meeting, but in universe, they've met before. However, it's heavily implied that he was drunk the first time they met. But you get to name her, though that's just for the player side of things. The characters know each other by their real names, so it doesn't really matter too much. The next big instance of memory actually involves the Eidolons. Now, in Final Fantasy IX, it's not the Eidolons that create the myths, it's the myths that create the Eidolons. And in the Summoner Village, there is a wall in which depicts them, and it goes on to say that the look of the Eidolons changes depending on the era or the need of them. As one of them that gets talked about being Shiva, sometimes she looks, in certain areas, she looks like a snow fairy. But in other areas, she might look different. And having read that, it reminds me of pretty much how the summons or eidolons look in each of the games. Like, you might have her look like a snow fairy, and in Final Fantasy VIII, she looks completely different. Final Fantasy VII, she looks different. 13, she's a pair of twins that turns into a motorcycle. So it's really the era and the area and how the stories form the summons themselves that will actually change how they appear. And yeah, that's quite interesting. Now, the last major instance of memory concerning today's topic involves the end of the hot and cold minigame, where you talk to Mene, the Moogle, outside of what Zidane describes as an Eidolon cave, and the Moogle says that he doesn't know what it is, in that he describes it as otherworldly, perhaps. And there's really not much information in game describing Ozma, and that what gives us our possible answer to what Ozma represents. And that is, well, not memory itself, but the lack of memory, as the people from Terra were effectively wiped out in one way or another thousands of years ago, save for, of course, Garland. And if I remember correctly, he was a robot in game, a robotic version of the original Garland. So it's not the original Garland, but I guess a backup. Still, the fact that there is a lack of memory as to what Ozma sort of looked like gave it the lack of appearance by comparison to the Eidolons found on, the main planet in Final Fantasy IX, Gaia. I think that's what it was called. Now, Ark does have a design, and it's an airship of sorts, kind of reminiscent of Final Fantasy IV, with a transformation. But, so do some of the other characters throughout the series, so I'm not surprised that it was given an actual form. You could just say giant ship, and there you go. But as far as Ozma is concerned, that, I believe, is what effectively what it is or what it isn't. So, what do you all think? Is this almost like on the ball or on the nose as to what Ozma represents? That's what I feel like it does, but who knows? Either way, thank you for listening to today's video. Next week will be issue number 10 of Power Rangers Prime. But until then, goodbye.